Racing fans, I'm Scott. This is Scott's House of HO Racing. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. If you haven't already, be sure to do the LSS below, the like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that. Hope this video finds you warm and safe after all the weather we've had across the United States and across the world lately. It's been kind of crazy. This video is going to be rather short. I do apologize for the delay in getting the video out. Technical issues, trying to get it made and uploaded, edited, and put on YouTube. Let's just say I'm no technical computer guru, and sometimes it takes me a little longer to figure stuff out as far as the computer is concerned than it would be as if I could just hammer some nails or turn a wrench, or in this case, build a slot car track. So without further ado, tonight's episode, just a brief overview. First thing I want to do is once again say thank you to everybody who has viewed any of the videos and has stopped by again. Thank you for returning. Thank you especially to all my subscribers that have decided that they want to follow along on the journey on the building of the car, the track, the car collection, tips and tricks on stuff on how to hop up cars, how to assemble a track, obviously, how to mount it to a table, maybe some things you may consider if you're going to go down this road in the future. But before we get started any deeper, please, I'm going to include the link to the video that you will need to comment on at the end of this video for the 99 Problems giveaway. It's the 99 Problems giveaway video. It's the one that's right before this one. In case you don't want to skip forward, you can just go to the channel and look at the previous video. It's 99 Problems giveaway and bonus. So on that video, if you haven't already, and you're one of the first 102 subscribers to do so, just simply put Mustang or Camaro, and then your educated best guess of how many cars that were shown on the tour of the Scott's House of HO Racing. So that's like 3 videos back, or 2 videos back. I'll include a link to it at the end of this video. So if you do want to watch that video and try to count along and get a closer guess, then be my guest. If not, then at least go back to the previous giveaway video and at least put Mustang, Camaro and your best guess of whatever number below in the comment. I will, since I did have the technical issues, extend the comment adding for the people who haven't already entered until 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. So please go back to that previous video, enter for the Mustang or the Camaro. I'll get them a little closer there for you. Yours are these are free. Can't beat free. I'm not even going to charge shipping like a lot of that stuff you see on TV. You know, they say it's free, but when you call, there's always a charge. There's always a catch. There's no catch here, except I'd like for you to subscribe and like and share. And then if you do have some comments, I encourage those, please. I love interacting with everybody that watches my videos. I encourage people to share tips and ideas, ask questions. If you see anything in any of my videos as far as parts, tools, questions on how I did something, questions on why I did something a certain way that I did it, or if you've got a better way, I am always open to better and an easy button. So if you've got an easier way or a better way, please share the knowledge, let me know, let everybody know, and I'll share it with everybody on the video if you don't want to make a video. So without further ado, last time I'm going to plug it, 99 Problems giveaway, open until 6 o'clock tomorrow night Central Standard Time. First 102 people that are subscribed to the channel that leave a comment, Mustang, Camaro, number of cars, the winner of the car choice will get their choice of the Camaro or the Mustang free of charge. And then the runner-up, which would be the person that guessed the closest number of cars in the room, will get the car that the other person doesn't choose. And tomorrow night, after we're done doing that drawing, I'll announce the next free giveaway, as like I mentioned in the previous video for the giveaway, that I had a pay it forward thing, and that is going to be what is going to be included for the next giveaway. And we're not going to have to wait for the next 100, but I'll give you the details on it tomorrow night. So without further ado, like I said, this is going to be a short little video before the winning video drawing and basically announcement tomorrow night of the winners, and then the announcement of the new giveaway. And that was the 2 things I wanted to go over tonight. Was basically just cover like a little progress of where I'm at on the track, I'll step back a little bit. You can kind of see what I've been working on. Basically doing the inlay for the infield. I've got the last video I mentioned, I used the cardboard. I got my templates cut out. One of the things I like to do, and a suggestion that was passed on to me that I'll pass on to you that I'm already finding very useful, and that is start big. You know, the old measure twice, cut once. I strongly suggest that. If you're old enough, you may remember the old Tony Stewart Home Depot commercial. That's what I was referring to, but that's also a very old saying before that. But irregardless, the tip that I had given to me and that I'm finding very useful that I'm going to pass forward to you is that anytime when you're doing any inlay with I don't care if you're using, like I'm using this little thin 1/4 inch, nice, hit my ceiling fan. I'm using the 1/4 inch plywood, MDF, makes no difference. Whatever you're using for your medium that you're putting for the inlay to make it the surface level, you're going to want to cut it bigger, and you're going to want to start at the big side and work your way down and make sure that it fits as closely as possible to the big side, and then start working your way down. And unless you're a carpenter or a better woods craftsman than me, you're probably going to end up with some gaps. You can see that I couldn't even cut it outside the line very straight. Like I just mentioned, I'm not a carpenter. And so you're going to end up with some gaps, is my point. And the whole idea is to minimize those gaps. And so that's why I start big, go small, start at the big end first and work my way down to the smaller piece if there is one. Or if it's a bigger piece in general and it doesn't taper down in any way like this one does, start in a corner and work your way out. Because you'll regret it if you start on a straightaway, because this track doesn't always lay perfectly straight. It's plastic and it's mass produced, and the tolerances are generous. So as you know, if you plug two pieces of track together, they don't always look straight when you look down it. Hence every time before I attach track, I shove these down in between the rails to make sure that everything is copacetic before I attach. But I would start in the corner, work my way out. So in this case, I would start in this corner and then work my way down, and then trim, sand, trim, sand. And that comes to my next tip. And that is, if you're not wanting to fill your room with sawdust and you're not wanting to jigsaw and vacuum all the time or cover with sheets, what I do is I take, for whatever corner I'm working with, I take a piece of that corner extra track, since obviously the rest is attached, and then that's how I use to match up the corner. And that way I can work down the radius. I don't know if that's going to come out very good, but you can see where you could work down the radius to fit, I believe. Yeah, there's the piece for this one. So right there. So I can work down that radius to fit that perfectly, even if my master line that I use to draw for my template is a little bit off. That way I can get the gap as close as possible and not have to worry about to fill that gap. Which brings me to the next tip, which these aren't, this wasn't an idea that was, Scott had an epiphany and all of a sudden got smart. These are a lot of things that I've learned through either watching videos, talking to other people, or just thought might work. In this case, this is another thing that was passed down to me, and that is how to fill those gaps. There are two ways that I know of, and I encourage any other options that anybody else knows of in the comments below, because I'm always willing to learn a new idea, especially if it's easier, because I'm a big fan of that Office Depot easy button, and I wish there was one for real life. But I digress. So the first way to fill in your gaps, because if you played with the track, you know the corners aren't always going to line up. When you try to do a 4-lane track, if you have a 4-lane track in this, any type of configuration, obviously these aren't going to mate up because of the wrong radius corners. But if they were, there's always going to be some sort of a little gap in there, always. And you're going to end up having to center it so it kind of looks right both ways. If you shove it one way, there's going to be a bigger gap than the other, and vice versa. So to fill that gap and to make it look natural, one of the two ways that you can do it, the first way is my way that I'm going to use, and that is I'm going to use black silicone. And I'm simply going to apply painter's tape on either side of the gaps, apply the said silicone, use something flat to smooth it, let it dry, peel the tape, get rid of any edges because it'll rub right off that plastic, and it's immediately filled in, and with any luck it'll blend in really good with the plastic track. Once obviously I get to that point, then I'll get a more close-up video of that. And speaking of videos, hopefully next week, this will be the last weekend that we have to put up with Scott filming on his phone. I had a camera on the way that I was waiting for before I shot this. Regrettably, due to the weather that everybody's been suffering through, it was delayed, so it's not going to be here till Monday or Tuesday of next week. So, but once I get to the point of filling, I will show you guys how it turned out, and then you can make your decision if that's something that you want to go ahead and make the investment on the silicone and the time and the effort to smooth it out to make it all look like one piece of smooth plastic. The other option, which is one that I'm not going to do, but I do know that if you are going to paint the track, that is one that you might seriously consider, since the silicone and the paint aren't really going to mix unless you get a paintable silicone. But it's been my experience that even then the shading is going to be a little different, so you're going to have a stripe somewhere on your track. To avoid that, the other option is wood putty. And the reason why I mentioned the wood putty is because if you're going to sand your track, you're going to and paint it, you're going to have to scuff it in some way with a Scotch-Brite pad or something in order to help the paint stick and adhere, so that it doesn't try to peel up when your cars are zipping around the track and get all in your motors. So if you wanted to, you can use the silicone, which I would think would be the cleaner, easier way. We're going to see if it works. You can use me as your guinea pig. Or I know I have seen it for a fact, it works with wood putty if you in fact are going to paint your plastic track. If you're not, it's going to look kind of funky, and you're going to have a lot of scratches and a dirt streak in the middle of your track if you don't end up painting it. So, those are your two options. Once again, if someone has another idea or another suggestion or another way that they've seen it done, please comment below. I'm not the guru. I'm just sharing what I have with you and hoping that someone else has another idea that they can share with me that I can share with you, or someone can read in the comments and we just help each other out. One of the other things that I've been doing is getting my driver stations set up. Basically took the wood, sanded it, primed it, and then stained it, and then urethaned it. And my driver stations have 3 of them, like if you've seen in the previous video, and I'm going to have them set up on hinges so that when they're not in use, we can fold them up out of the way. And that way you don't have to walk by, if you're not racing, and get clipped by some of those screws that are coming out for your controller attachments. So those will tuck away. And then just to give an example of kind of what I'm looking at, obviously I'm going to have to trim these down, but there's your standard colors, your red, white, blue, yellow, just like what's on there for my Biasu timing system. Those are actually colored plastic. Hold those up there. And I'll trim those to fit, obviously, and then each one of those is the call button for each location. So once again, in case you didn't see the last video, what I've got going on here is 3 locations where anybody can race in any lane. So 1, 2, 3, and then if you do wreck, you hit a call button, it will stop the race, throw a yellow flag until the car's put back on and you guys hit the button, and it starts the countdown and starts the race right where you left off. And like I said, whenever I get into the wiring for the Biasu timing system and how to hook up all these buttons and how to hook up the power and for your controllers, believe me, I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube and they're confusing. So I'm going to try to break it down as simple as I can when I get to that point. So rest assured, when I get to the wiring part, if you are interested, I'm going to break it down as simple as I can. Because remember, I said I like that easy button, and trust me, I'm going to try to apply that to anything that I do on the channel, because just because you know how to do it, sometimes it doesn't always get relayed exactly what you're doing, how you're doing, or why you're doing it. So I'm going to try to break it down for you guys. So irregardless, there's what we got going on with the driver stations. One thing that I have been doing is I've been going around the track to make sure that after I attach sections, I've been hooking up the power, because like I showed you in the previous videos, I do have the power stations already set up there. So I just temporarily alligator clip power to the track, then I go around and I test the voltage. And I go around and test the voltage and make sure that it's consistent where I've got my power source set at. And what I do is I just set it at a constant 20 volts. And that way, once it starts dipping below anything below 20, then I make sure that my next power tap station, which is what these are, I make sure that these are no more than 20 away with my particular power setup. And I've got the greens are my common green for ground, and then obviously the red, white, blue, and yellow. So I guess, yeah, that's how it would look from the bottom side. So I soldered those, used hot glue to hold them in place so that the little soldering doesn't get torn off. If you've ever done that, that can be very aggravating. It just takes a few tries.